Good afternoon. It's Friday, the weekend is starting, and we have some lace to make. So, this morning, well, between the end of work and now, I have been poking at the Flanders lace that I was trying to do the other day, and, well, it still strikes me as highly illogical, because as you know, when we do cloth stitch here, we put a pin in the end and you wrap the worker pair around it, so you've got strength to tighten up everything against. With the Flanders stuff, you don't. It goes along to the end and then falls off as a new one comes in to replace it. The pin doesn't go anywhere near either, and well, you can't tension it because you've got nothing to hang on, right? So so at that kind of point, it is difficult. So I'm still trying, but I got a parcel this morning. Now, you may recall I ordered some bobbins last year and it took, well, over a month to get here. And once it got here, I put the bobbins on for the Flanders project and I really liked them. And I still really like them. So I ordered more. A heck of a lot more. Like 750 more. But I have noticed two things. These two things are great and glorious, in my humble opinion. One, the packs of 50 seem to contain 52. Well, that technically means then, instead of 900 pairs of bobbins, I've got 936. Don't have a problem with that. I also showed you them last time, but now I've got more. I got 2 free bobbins last time. I think it was those two. Well, now I have a black one and a really violently orangey kind of sparkly one. So now I've got 4 of those, which are really pretty. But, my dear friends, hang on. I didn't think this through when I put them back. Hang on. They're in here somewhere. There they are. With my 750 bobbins, I also got, not that you can't see them very well, but I'll take one out. I also got, in the same wood, these, which are highly more decorative, with these 4 little beads in the middle. Now, I don't know if you can see very well through the bag, but they're multicoloured, they're not pairs or anything. But I got 12 of those. So on top of my 936, I've effectively got 12 more. So I've now got 948. So if I order one more pack of 50, hopefully that comes as 52, I'd have 1,000 of them. I'm thinking about it, because I probably don't need to go for the other 50, but then it would be a round number and the happiness factor does go up. So I'm feeling really pleased with myself because I have the world's heaviest box of bobbins. I mean, it's got big packs of these in. And I'm really pleased with it. So, the weekend starts on a good note. I've got 5 billion bobbins. To be honest, oops, she says kicking the thing. Actually, I didn't kick the thing, I hit it with a box, but it amounts to the same deal, so let's put that in there, and then let's put this back where it should be, like that. So I'm feeling really pleased with that, because obviously I've got the new bobbins. I considered changing these out for the new bobbins, because, well, you think about a lot of things that you probably aren't going to do. This bobbin that glows, it almost glows in the dark. It doesn't, because it doesn't really show up on camera, but it doesn't show quite, it is much more neon. I mean, it's clearly orange, but it is really, really orange, and I love it. So, I mean, it's sitting there and it's kind of glowing gently. I mean, if it was the green version of that, it would be the perfect kind of nuclear green slime that we get in cartoons, right? It is proper glowing. It doesn't pulsate, obviously, but frankly, only because it can't. If it could, it would, you know? It really has that vibe to it. Hedgie's having a bit of a crisis. Hang on, let me sort out Hedgie's pin. We've got to get Hedgie's pin through the hole at the bottom, which is harder than it sounds, because there isn't the pin that goes out the bottom is bent, and B, it's not a straight line. Come on, where's the hole? Come on, Hedgie Hedge. I know it's about here somewhere. Come on. Problem is I can't tell where the pin is at compared to the hole, so it really doesn't help. Because, as I say, because it's bent. Oh, come on. It's got to be around here somewhere. Oh well, Hedgie's not going to be attached to the thing today. Normally I put it in and it goes straight through, but this pin's really had. Let me straighten this a little bit, maybe that'll help. Problem is I don't want to straighten it too much because, well, I don't want to break it. And we all know that flexing metal is not good for it. Is I can't, I've got no idea where it is in relation to the hole, and I get that, you know, you have that kind of, well, it can't be far, but I thought I'd got it for a minute then. Yeah. But of course there's also pins in here, you know, kind of impeding the movement of the bigger pin, so I can't tell where it is. Normally, oh, there it is. There it is. There you go. There it goes. He's attached now. Right. What a mayhem. So I topped up Hedgie last night. That's always a good thing. So we need you two, and this looks wrong. No. Just some of you are not where you should be. So, let's have a look. So obviously you are right around the pin. I need a pokey pin. Where's a pokey pin? Pokey pin. That's kind of, that's where you should be. So you can go over there, you can go over there. Let me briefly extract. I'm moving the book. Because I've been referring to the book for instructions. So if I put this back on top and show you where I got to with this. So I've been working down here. I'm now in a position where I need to start doing the complicated bit, and I started doing it a row too early, so hence I had to undo it, and now we're back to doing that. I also managed to get these. Now these generally go, and Oh, it's to soften the bobbin noises. I don't have a problem with the bobbin noises, but they're good for weighing bobbins down and, you know, holding it still and stuff. So I got some of those. I have been busy, really. So there we go. Let me move that back a bit. Box is in the way. Hang on. Problem is I can't lift it with one hand because why is not? Let me move this back a bit more. There you go. Now you can see the bobbins. Let me move over a bit, which will mean Rory will get grumpy. Let's see if I can move the box with my foot. Oh, that worked a bit better. There you go. Right. Actually, let me try and lift that up a bit. There you go. There, now you can see that, and I can have it a bit closer to me, so that all works out. Now, 4 of you, 2 of you. Great. Let's get on with actually making some lace. Oop, put pokey pin back. Now, that doesn't add up now, does it, children? I'm missing a pair of bobbins, so... You obviously should have come out. 2, 3. Right. Put you back in. Actually, it's more stupid than that. Let me show you the mistake. Let me zoom in. Chunk. If you look really carefully, pointy scissors at this point, here, there isn't a pin. We missed a hole. So, you are supposed to be one pin hole over to there. You. Now, the question becomes, how in the name of mercy did we make the rest of it work out if we missed a hole? We must have screwed up somewhere. About there. So let's undo a bit. It's always sad when you look back at the work you did yesterday and go, well, that was a waste of life. So, undo you. Get back in the hole then. So let's see if we can make this right. 1, 2, 5. think I need to go back one more on this side. Pardon me. That looks like where I went wrong. That also doesn't make sense. It's really not hard things here. The problem is I can't view it close enough because every time I lean forward my boobs are in the way, so and I can't see it clearly on a 2-inch screen. Let's see if I can make it. What happens if I make that full screen? Can I see it on that? No, not really. Something might be wrong here, but it's not clear what's going on. And this bobbin's just running away, so hang on. So let's go back. So something here isn't right, and that is that pin is also wrong. That goes there. So. Hello, how you doing? How have you been? I'm happy in lots of ways and unmotivated. I'm not quite sure why, but I'm motivated. So, I got my new bobbins. That's a good thing. It's nice that you've got a friend in Mark that you can spend lots of time with and do things with. Now I've got my car back, I haven't got as much excuse as I used to. No, I'm really pleased because you know those new bobbins I got, the heavy ones. Well, the 750 of them arrived, and in the pack that I undid to make the Flanders bits when we tested them, I did notice there were 52 in the pack of 50. Well, this seems to be a very common theme. So when I bought 150, it looks like I got 106. But when you buy 750, well, you get a bunch more. Plus, you may recall I got a couple of either resin or 3D printed ones last time. So I got these two last time. Well, they sent me these two. This doesn't show up as well on camera, but this like glows. It's so bright, which is really cool. But I also, as if that wasn't enough, you know, because freebies and all that aren't set, you know, you don't expect freebies in life. I got some more freebies. Now, I got these. Now, these are the same heavy wood, but with 4 coloured beads on. And I got 12 of them. So I've now got 12 multicoloured little doody dudes. So that's kind of cool. So now I've got even more bobbins. Not going to fight that in a hurry. Oh, sorry, got the yawn. It's been in a lot of ways it's been a good day. You know, I've got shiny things. I've got I did a bit more of my Flanders thing. But somehow right here, right now, I kind of want to go and have a nap. I think possibly, and in fact mainly, because I screwed this up. I think because I got this wrong, I've kind of like, not in the mood for that. You know, I'll go to bed sort of thing, right? I shall continue on. So yes, sorting this out so that we can start the next bit. But to be honest, you know, being me, kind of heart's not in it today. Yeah, it was weird. Kind of an hour or so ago, I was really motivated. I was really pleased. 1, 2, 3, 4.5. Why do I keep doing halves? I wonder why that is. You know, I was really all for it and looking forward to doing, you know, a nice long stream, maybe, you know, not finishing the triangle because I'm not that optimistic, but, you know, doing a really big chunk of it, feeling really pleased with myself. And when I looked in my box of Let's Go, it was empty. Had a 1-to-1 this morning with my new boss, which was interesting. Not quite the usual format for a 1-to-1, but you know, I haven't had 1-to-1s for a couple of years, so I am a little out of practice. But that was not a normal format for a 1-to-1. But it was fine. They don't hate me, so you know, start with the positives. You know? In fact, they seem to respect what I do, possibly more so than before. So I have hopes, and potentially, because I asked a question, because my job title at the moment is very much up in the air, because they've put in a job title and said, you know, we can change it if you want. And I have kind of said, well, I don't see where I'm fitting, because obviously we've moved into, I won't say a pre-existing group, but we've joined a company, but like we've been there, so I was there 20 years this year, it was my 20-year anniversary. So with all that in mind kind of deal, is that, you know, I've been here 20 years, but to be honest, my job title doesn't tell me whether I'm first, second, third line, specialist, something else. And I said, so kind of where do I fit? And I explained that, you know, job titles where I was before didn't really, you know, tell anyone what you did deliberately. And, you know, all of those kind of moments. And my new manager actually said, well, if I had to, if I was going to have to guess now, done it again, I'd say this was your job title. And it was kind of like, okay, but that would be a promotion. Not that I'm going to argue, because to be honest, it does fairly accurately describe what I do. And, you know, I don't expect my job title to be accurate. I've worked in the industry far too long for it to be explanatory to somebody else as to what I actually do. But at the same time, you know, having an understanding of where you fit in the world is a useful thing. So he's kind of shot himself in the foot a bit today, I think. Don't think he realises that. Right, so you now need to go back on a stick, because we've sorted you out. He's a bit worried that I'm depressed. To which I kind of had to say to him, well, I don't get depressed for nothing. I don't wake up one morning depressed. There is always a trigger. Now, it might be an unrealistic trigger in that I'm oversensitive to something and I've taken it all the wrong way and my mind's dwelled on it and now it's a mountain when it wasn't even like, you know, a pimple. But there is always a trigger. And as a result of there being a trigger, I inevitably, well, you know, I get over it. It's not good, you know, it's not really a problem. And it isn't. You know, you're not going to change the world, so there's no point beating yourself up about that. You can only change yourself, and if it's not something you've done, well, you can be miserable about it because you don't like it, but it's not going to change it. And eventually my brain kind of gets over it a little bit, and I go back to being more my normal self. And he's kind of very confused, I think, now, because Well, he's. I really don't think I fit in the categories of people that he's used to. But hello, welcome to being me. But I did explain to him how I ended up with depression, the main contributing factors, and that I do have a very solid co-worker who texts me morning, noon and night. In fact, we've been having conversations about our one-to-one. You know, to a large extent, you know, our managers could save themselves a lot of grief and just do our one-to-ones together, because we're only going to tell each other what they said. So, and we actually brought it up in the consultation for the TP thing, was the individual, other than like actual salary numbers, you know, I probably know more about his contract than he does. You know, so it's, you know, we share literally everything. So, you know, get used to the fact that if you told one of us, we were texting each other while you were speaking to us, so the other one can ask you more questions later. I think they're a little put out by that, because obviously, you know, for sake of the argument, I went first and I'd bring up some points and kind of like, so I'm interested in this, and, you know, I'm interested to know on where this stands and, you know, what you're expecting to happen with this. And I'd be almost like real-time texting him the whole conversation. And so, of course, right, well, yes, well, we'll continue next week, great. You know, we've got to see my co-worker next. Yeah, I know. Almost the first words out of his mouth. So, continuing Lizzie's conversation. But in a way, it did speed things up a bit, because obviously, you know, there were many things that we were happy to be dealt with together as a pair rather than individual meetings, which meant we got to cover more stuff in, you know, the same amount of time. But we ended up with, you know, pretty good deal. It could have gone so much worse. And I think part of that is because we were standing strong together, I think is the phrase. So I do love my co-worker. He's a good guy. Trev's in. Hey you, how you doing? What games have you been playing recently? Been doing a fair bit of PoE 2 myself recently. I suck at it. Oh, I so suck at it, but I enjoy sucking at it. I've got, I think I think he's nearly level. I think he's level 29 or 13. Yeah. I've struggled with Minecraft. I want to get into Minecraft because there's a lot I could do with Minecraft, but at the same time, I don't find it intuitive. And you know, so for example, cool. Well, that's a bonus. We're all for a bit of self-fixing around here. We definitely vouch for those who do that, so that's cool. I'm pleased to hear that. So yeah, I've been doing PoE 2. My monk's nearly 30. The only problem I can't. So I just need to sort out these bobbins because, you know, pins and shit. because some of you don't look like... You don't look... Oh, that's because you're round the bobbin. There you go. So yeah, I'm really pleased with myself in a way. I've got my monk, she's ready to ascend, but for some reason I suck donkey balls at actually doing it. But I'm most of the way through Act 2 of the campaign, so I'm feeling pleased with that. And I'm going to call it the pork rind ring. It's not pork rind ring. It's got K. It starts with P. It's got K's and H's and ends in IND or something. So... The patch they put out a couple of days ago, do not load the current NVIDIA drivers. There were some new drivers that dropped end of last week. Shit, do not run them. Virtually everyone I've known who loaded them, because it was supposed to fix some problems. If you load it, so for example, if you watch Netflix, well, you're alright then. But if you load the NVIDIA drivers on your PC, if you say watch Netflix on your PC, you tab out to another tab, because it's been using kind of graphics drivers for the tab to show you the Netflix movie or whatever. It turns your whole screen black and won't turn it back on. Well, that's friggin' helpful, isn't it? So I rolled them back because, well, that didn't help. That was definitely worse. So they fixed a load of the crashing things. They did an awful lot of work for controller stuff and crashes and things. So I don't know. They may have made it better. I don't play on. One of the things that I find really, really weird is, although I've always been a geek, I've never really been a strong games player. Mainly because if I wanted a game, I had to make it. And, well, I didn't really have the wherewithal to make games. So the most games I had were games where you typed it in from a magazine or something. And, you know, like 16 hours of typing later, you had the world's shittest fishing game. You know, so I never really was a huge games player. I couldn't afford any games. My parents wouldn't buy me any. So I think, you know, from my very early days, the games I had were Green Beret, Economy Hypersports, Roadrunner, that was the fucking shittest game I ever had. Ghostbusters, my parents loathed that game. The reason they loathed that game was you had like a grid of, I think it was 9 or 12 boxes that represented the city, and you had to go around and fight ghosts in the box. But the game had to get to a point where the ghosts had overrun the city enough before the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man arrived. Well, it didn't take much to do it, to keep it under control. So what you actually did was you played it until you got fucked off with it, then you just left it running to get overrun with ghosts. All the time, it's playing the Ghostbusters theme tune. Hours of repeats of the Ghostbusters theme tune. My parents, my dad especially had kind of like, you know, almost a nervous bodily reaction to that. Just because, you know, he'd heard it like 63 billion thousand times. Because I kept getting convinced that I must have played it wrong, and so would play it again. I had Donkey Kong and Pac-Man, the little handheld games. Populous. I did like all the versions of Populous. Really liked Populous. Other than that, I did a bit of Quake and Doom and stuff when they came out. But yeah, I you know, I've always wanted to play. I always mess with my computer. I was going to say play with my computer. But if I always mess with my computer, but I don't play a lot. I'm not a huge game player fan. I watch a lot of streamers. Well, not that many, but I watch some streamers, and they're kind of like, oh, when I was a kid, I had Mario Brothers. I had all of this. I didn't. The only time I got a games machine was when Trev and I lived together, and he had one. I did buy a Wii Fit, eventually, of my own. But you know what I did with it? I didn't really play games with it. In one of the sports programs, you could run on the spot. Yeah, so I had the Wii, and all I ever did to it was the long distance running. Hang on, let me just deal with the obligatory us hell. Get rid of that. Now, the only problem with that is, having done that, it's hard to report it. There we go, report it. User. See, what's the problem? Because I didn't get the option to... I don't now get the option to show that there is a thing, I think, of show deleted messages. Show, click to reveal deleted message chats. Right, so if I do that, can I now report it? Because for some reason, report, but if I do that, there we go, spam, next, bots, next, spam bot, hang on. Need keyboard. Yes, go. Block, go. So, for some reason, I hadn't allowed for the viewers to have a little funky E thing. Hang on. Let me add that one to my collection of words. Where's the no words scenario? Block terms and phrases. There we go. Enter that one. Add. There you go. And we will also grab that and put that in there and add that just to cover that, and we will take that, put that on there, and we'll add that. Right, hopefully that adds to the moron reducing capacity. I mean, part of me doesn't know whether I should be pleased that the botters feel that coming to my stream will gain them something, because both of you are really unlikely to go and buy me viewers, so I don't really get it. One of the other things that I've not understood, which apparently is a done thing on Twitch, so the whole idea is that, they're advertising. Wow, you got snow? You got snow? Well, they're threatening snow here from 6, I think, tonight till 4 a.m. tomorrow. And up the road, I think it was from earlier today. Good for you. Glad you did, because, well, frankly, the more these idiots get reported, the better. But one thing oh, look, we've actioned your report. They have already banned them. We love it when they action them that quick. But what I don't understand, and so, as a streamer, obviously, to an extent, it is in my interests, not that I would, to potentially buy viewers, because the more viewers you have, the more the algorithm likes you, the more it suggests it to people, so the more genuine people you would get. So I can see that, potentially, there is a reason why, for example, I, as a streamer, might buy some viewing bots to bolster my numbers. Because obviously you can use it to get your partnership and get better money and whatever. Anyway. What I don't understand is there's a bit of a plague where people buy viewing bots for other channels because it gets them into trouble. Gets the channel into trouble because Twitch assume the channel bought the viewer bots, not somebody else. But I'm sure they're not cheap, because nothing in the world's cheap. So who's going to spend a lot of money on buying viewer bots for somebody else? On the off chance it might get them in trouble. Seems a little bit kind of weird to me. It's a bit like when you phone up like British Gas or something and you go, and they kind of, they extract out of you the colour of your mother's, they extract out of you the colour of your mother's underwear or the date of conception and the 58th character in the Bible and the atomic weight of the pea Queen Victoria had on the 3rd of June, And by the time you've proved enough of who you are and they finally accept that might be you, you're trying to pay a bill. Bitch, if someone wants to pay my bill, let them. Stop fighting it. Let them. So yeah, there were a few times that you do just kind of go, but it's a bit like the, I'm the Nigerian prince and I've got billions of pounds to give you. All you need to do is spend like $5,000 giving me some money so I know you're who I think you are. What? No, sod off. No. Well, thank you for popping in. I do appreciate it when people come to see me, so... yeah. It's a hard life when you've done night shifts, that's for sure. But have a good sleep, my friend. It is nice to see you. Yeah. So, yeah, I appreciate that you do. Obviously, this is Friday afternoon for me, so I've done... I still work strange hours, so I do longer Monday to Thursday, but I get to do a half-day Friday. Something we fought tooth and nail to keep when we changed employers. And we did, so I do. So hence I get, this afternoon to myself to do things. Because you have no idea how useful it is to have an extra half day every week where if you've got to make a doctor's appointment, dentists, anything of the sort, you can go at times when most other workers aren't, I wouldn't bother. Seriously, wouldn't bother. I haven't played for a while. It went down a route that I lost comfort with. The good news is that Star and Lord British are no longer primary people. Somehow they're still in it, even though they sold it to Atos, but Atos, whatever you want to call him. But he had already gone down the route before he took over, and he's a really nice guy, and I like him a lot. But they brought out Chapter 2, and there was next to nothing in it. They still do, you know, like Lord British's birthday and all that kind of bullshit. And it's almost like the thing that won't die, you know? It's not what it could be. My town's still there. It's now got an overworld connection. But it'll be empty by now because I haven't logged in a while. Yeah, I mean, all the decorations I put up, some of them will probably still be there, but an awful lot of the work that I did, I spent a fortune on it, and I enjoyed it for a while, but it just kind of pulled away from the kind of game that I'm after. What I am after now is there is a game called Monsters and Memories, and they are very, very early days. They occasionally do playtests, and I love that game when I get the opportunity. And in fact, later tonight, I believe on stream, they're going to do a raffle and someone can win the chance to go and play with the devs kind of thing. So, I doubt it will be me. But, you know, there's a chance it could be me, I suppose. But it will be that kind of thing. It's kind of like EverQuest, but not EverQuest. But it's got a bit of that feel to it. But it's got grunt to it. It feels real. You know when games really kind of speak to your soul a bit? This game feels like you're in a game. Yeah, I just have this... It just speaks to me. This one actually speaks to me, and I'm really excited for it. And do you know one of the main reasons that I think it should... If nothing else, it should do well for one reason. You think of Shroud. Before they, quote, went live, they'd had something like $20 million in funds, and they went live, and then almost did they tried to go from quarterly telethons to monthly, got pissed that the monthly ones didn't raise as much as each of the quarterly ones, so then, like, had 2 in a month because, well, we didn't make enough, and... You know, and they were basically constantly clamouring for your money. These guys do not want your money, have not taken a bean, will refuse any beans offered to them. They are purely doing it out of the goodness of their hearts, and they have got a cracking game. To the point, it is far better shape than Pantheon. And Pantheon's in early access. And they're not even thinking of going early access till next year, I think. So... You know, their game is going to be in a far better state. It's already in a far better state. If they brought those servers up tonight, I know what I'll be doing this weekend, right? It is that simple. If they said, right, we've decided to do it early, as of tonight, servers a go, I'd kiss all my social life goodbye. Not that I have one, but my spare time, I would be up. Because it's great. Already. And they've really done so well. They haven't done little. That's the whole point. But that's the thing, is that a game like that encourages you, because they're not going, I need 50 billion squillion dollars before I can even make a little capsule on a plane to show you. These guys have got a functional game that many of us, I mean, we've had a few long weekends with it, and we've loved it. People are clamouring for more, and they're nowhere near finished yet. They're not even, you know, they're not even calling it alpha. It is purely playtest, well, it's rarely a playtest, it's often a stress test, as they're trying to see if they've, you know, managed to up the figures for this and make, you know, responses better. And I'm sure a couple of the stress tests have been a little bit, hello, I managed to log in. Yeah, I can't move, because it's kind of freaking out. But they have done so much to make that better. Yeah, and I think it's good. I think we miss the days, and I think one of the biggest problems all games have these days is that back in the 80s and 90s when we started, all you would suddenly get is a thing in the game shop or in a magazine or whatever saying, so-and-so has released this. And you went and bought a copy for $30 or whatever it was, and you took it home and you went, well, that sucks. Or you went, fuck me, I really like this, and spent, the next 6, 9, 12 months of your life, breathing this game. Today, much like Pantheon, who've been building their game for like 12, 13 years, scrapped it twice, you almost have heard too much about it. So by the time it comes out, you've either got really high expectations or you're sick of it already. And because you don't just get early access by a couple of days, you've got alpha and beta and early access, and you could have been playing it live for 2 years almost before the game comes out. Well, chances are you've done a lot of it by then. I think, game companies do fall into that category a lot now, is that there almost isn't a game that doesn't come out as an alpha or a beta first, and that you don't get to almost be bored of by the time they actually go live. That, or in Diablo style, they want 500 billion squids, and you play it for about 4 hours and you've completed all the new content and go, okay. Wasn't really worth the 100 quid or whatever you blew on the expansion, So yeah, I think games have written themselves into an awkward spot. Now, I do appreciate that obviously real users find real problems, but if you let them in too early, the game can change significantly and put them off. If you let them in too early, they can have completed it all, and by the time it's released, it's over, kind of thing, right? And that's not what I want to be doing. Idiot. So yeah, I mean, Trev used to play things like, not Fortnite, but Battlefield 1942 and all of this kind of stuff. But you'd buy it like Friday night, he'll have finished it by Sunday, and you're like... And then he never understood why I played games that didn't directly have an end. Well, because here I am, bitch, 20 years later, still playing it and enjoying it, because I haven't seen and done it all yet. That's what I want in a game. I want a game where I get value for money. PoE 2 definitely is going to be one of those games. Because, I paid 40 quid or whatever for the early access. I've had hundreds of hours in that already. I suck, but I've got hundreds of hours in it. So, again, that's going to be a game that I will have fond memories for, because I didn't have to pay a fortune, but I got a lot for my money. I got a lot of enjoyment and time I feel well spent for my money. So, everyone has different tastes in games and all that, and so, I don't expect my games to be your games kind of thing. But I think most of us want a game that doesn't feel like they just ripped you off. That, their final product. I have a problem with games that do the following. So, no offense, World of Warcraft, I'm talking to people like you and EverQuest, which is, hey, you want to play our game? Give us $60 for a game. Fine, here you go. Well, now you need to pay $10 a month to keep playing it. Okay. Hey, we've got an expansion coming out. Pay us $50 for the expansion. Hang on, I paid you $60. I paid you $10 a month all this time. And now you want more money so I can get in 2 zones and have 5 more levels and 3 new spells. No. I feel they should have to do one or the other. You're either subscription-based or you pay. Have fun. Be good. Sleep well. You deserve it. think it's why most people end up playing on private servers. Ooh, what have you got, Naughty Count? Other than rat bashing. Whack-a-mole, as the phrase goes. Ooh! Excellent. So you're playing kind of 3D jigsaw puzzle. That's what you're doing. I hope they work for you, mate. I really do. I shocked myself, by the way. You know how I've got an aversion to cleaning my house? Well, not cleaning, but I have an aversion to tidying up. I destroyed some cardboard boxes and put them inside each other, so now it takes up a lot less room. I don't normally get round to that. Normally they just sit in a big pile and I look at them. Well, they did give it to the wrong people, so, you know. I must admit, I was really quite surprised because Mr. UPS man came really early this morning. No, but if what they did was, I know, let's say they decided to post it through your neighbour's, you know, for your neighbour rather than you. Because I've had that. I've had someone hand me a parcel and I've gone, that's not mine, handed it straight back to them. Oh, isn't it? You know, so maybe your neighbour, they gave it to your neighbour and your neighbour kind of went, actually, that's not mine, I'll screw it, I'll give it to him. So, of course, they then mark it as delivered to you and you're going, no, you didn't. I get a little bit annoyed with Amazon for that because you get the handed to resident. No, you didn't. You all but threw it from the pavement to my front door, and you know, in such a way that it didn't touch the front door, so I didn't know it was there. You ninjaed it and teleported it to my doorstep, and expected me to be aware in the pissing rain that my very fragile, unwaterproof electronic package is now here. You know. I also, of course, I do deliberate. I mean, if they've done an okay job, I do tend to not to remember to go on and say they did a good job. But if they do a bad job, I do make sure I mark it. So, for example, I've written on my delivery instructions that you must not put stuff through my door because, well, I've got 2 hungry dogs who will eat it. So every time they put it through the door, I do the "you did not follow your instructions." You know, I'm not lying. You know, if you're too stupid. But there's also other ones about driver acting unprofessionally. And I wish I could have filled one in last week. Can't remember what day of the week it was. But I thought there was like the rave party bus had turned up. My house was shaking literally from the beat of the stuff coming out of his van, and he was going for next door. And it was like, I couldn't hear my computer over it. The house is shaking so I can feel it, the dogs can feel it, and have started barking and have got the hump about it all. And you're sitting there going, I mean, I know that you're driving round and you want to listen to your music, and, occasionally, some shit just needs to be played real freaking loud because you're in that mood and it's the right kind of thing. But you're currently going round a quiet residential area. Turn it down, love. Seriously. It's also illegal to drive around with your music that loud. You can and will be stopped by the police for it. So, yeah, not very professional of you, especially as this is your, means of living. If they've stopped you enough, they might choose to do you for dangerous driving because you will not be fully aware of your surroundings. So, do you really want that? So I have occasionally reported them for unprofessional behaviour. Not very often, but trying to do the right thing. I mean, I know they get paid nothing, or next to nothing. There was a guy who used to come round. He wasn't an Amazon guy, but he was like the overflow Amazon guy. And yeah, he was a laugh. He was a good guy. I liked him. Haven't seen him for a while. Just quickly checking my phone. I might be able to stick some of this thing up. That's a good thing. I mean, the fact that it still went to your neighbour is a little bit sus, but, you know. to be fair, I do the same for my neighbours. I know my neighbours would do the same to me if the driver knocked on my door saying, "Can you take a parcel in for?" The answer, I don't think I've ever said no. Because I also know how really annoying it is that, I know, you're out in the garden chasing the dog because it's doing something stupid. Don't hear one of their whisper knocks at the front door, because I'm sure you've had it, where they come along and they kind of go at the front door, but they don't actually touch it. So it doesn't make a noise, even though you're almost standing the other side of it. You didn't hear nothing. And then you realise that they've been and gone and that's actually what they were doing, and they've marked you as not in, and you're like, if you want a human being, make enough noise that I come to the door. Don't be kind of relying on the fact that the dog's barking, because, well, have you considered that dogs do that, And that maybe, if you hear me screaming, "Will you shut up?" that I'm obviously not aware you're there, Because when the police came yesterday, I had the same. They did this extra quiet knock, and I really didn't notice that they were there. They didn't ring the doorbell. Bloody idiots. Must admit, it was interesting talking to my boss about that this morning. And he was saying that he would not have put up with this woman sending the text messages. He would not have been quite so polite about it. And, I think he's realised that I did explain to him, it's not patience. I do not have patience. You've met me, mate. I think it would depend who I was taking one in for. So here, at this property, I know both people in the road really well, and if I was taking in a parcel for them, I would be okay signing for them, because I know they would not then claim that they never got it. In my old house, wouldn't have done it. Like you, I'd have said no, because there were people in there who weren't that honest. They weren't bad people per se, but they would have tried it on with, "No, I never got it," and then basically the company would feel that I stole it, and when I didn't, because I gave it to them. And so, like everything, if you took in a parcel for someone and they claimed they never got it, how do you prove you gave it to them? Because, of course, you don't get them to sign anything. You don't take a photo of them taking the parcel off you. That's just not how it works. And so, I'll do it here, but I've lived in places where I wouldn't. Probably be a bomb in one of the places I lived in. But, it's... I've lived in some dodgy places, some very dodgy places, but certainly here, I'd probably do it. But this is the first place I would be absolutely comfortable with that. I think if they asked me, in advance, this guy's going to come, but you probably want someone to sign for it, would you mind? There is a chance I'd do it, because they've specifically asked, they're aware it's coming. But if it was just random knock, hey, there's a parcel for a random dude on your street, would you sign for it? No, you can come back another day and, hopefully they'll be in, mate, sorry. Yeah. My problem with the digital thing is they make you sign with your finger. No one ever writes their name with a finger, so it doesn't look like your signature. It looks like, or even if you'd had 68 beers first, and it's hardly a likeness of my signature. So yeah, I know what you mean though. So yeah, you might as well sign an X on those things because frankly, you can't read it anyway. I hope you can fix your Bissell with the bits you got. I do wonder if some of my lack of motivation today is because I'm not using the new bobbins. While I currently... I had to explain this to my boss this morning. When I'm suffering from depression, lack of motivation, etc., I can't always tell you why. What will happen is, at some point, I will stop. And at that point, the feelings become historical fact. And at that point, I can tell you all about it. Until then, sorry. that's a good thing. I mean, like you say, the biggest problem with a lot of them is they have these very brittle, a bit flimsy tab things, and all it would take is a little bit too much of this or slightly the wrong angle of that, and that kisses that goodbye, and now it'll never fit properly, never stay where it should. And yeah, so yes, I do understand that problem, most definitely. Can't believe I've only been streaming an hour and a half. Feels like 5. Definitely not on my best today then, am I? Sometimes it's not about the complexity though. Sometimes it is just a case of, pipe A has got to go from, A to B, but clipping it on is near impossible because everything else is in the way. That's right, I'm poking at my nail. Hang on. Got kind of flaky bit. It was annoying me. Why is it whenever I've got a long period of time when I could do lots, I don't want to do it? Oh, naughty cat, what should I do? Well, you see, here's the conundrum. If I stop now and have a snooze, which is feeling really tempting, I will also feel guilty because I only did a short stream, and I only did a short stream yesterday, and how lacking and pathetic of an individual I am. If I keep going, I will resent myself because I'm tired and I don't really want to do it. So I'm kind of stuck on a spiky fence post because basically I'm damned if I do and damned if I don't. I mean, I am trying to at least do some, you know, even though I don't overly want to. And you may have noticed it's really weird because I was on fire, I was doing really well, and now my brain's just kind of gone, nah. And at the moment, I have no idea why it's not in the mood. It's not like my back's hurting. I've got the yawns, admittedly. Excuse me. But there's no real reason for it. There's no reason why I'm not in the mood. Well, the problem is I am kind of in the mood. But not. No, thank you, Naughty Kel. I say shit like that as well, so... I think it's one of those things is that I was having a bit of fun trying to do the Flanders thing, but we all know that that's complicated and difficult. As I said, sorry, I've got the yawns now. So I did some of the Flanders thing between work and starting the stream, and I won't say I'm mad at this because I was doing that. That's not the case. But I do think that in a way, because I was playing with the new bobbins, my brain really wants to play with the new bobbins. And of course, rewinding all these bobbins to be on new bobbins is a long story. I'm really doing well at the yawning thing, and as you know, I do occasionally get the yawns for the sheer hell of it all, but I am actually really quite tired. I mean, like everything, sometimes I think I get tired from events that I hadn't realised quite how much they took out of me, because at the time, they weren't really that big, and they shouldn't really have affected me that bigly, but somehow they did. So, for example, like the police coming around, you know, that instant, oh shit, as you do, and well, we've still got, I've got plenty of thread, believe me, thread is not the issue. I was contemplating trying to record a few learn to lace videos, right? Now, the problem is to an extent, they are 10 a penny. But I think for my own channel, I think it would be good to have how to do the stitches I've used, how to do the things that I've done, how to make your own version of it kind of deal, right? And I think that has a reasonable prospect, right? And I would like to do that, and I would like to do that for people. So, you know, I could use shiny new bobbins for that, or even the ones with beads on and make them more pretty. Or just use some of my other bobbins, because let's face it, it's not like I haven't got enough. But, pardon me. There is just this whole kind of, I was trying to explain it to my manager, because he was asking, you know, so when you're depressed, you know, what do you do about it? And I said, well, I try and do all the things that bring me joy. And I was looking at my lace pillow to the side going, I'll be doing that later. And there and then, I was really up for making lace. But I also said to him, some of my depression is, I really, really want to. My brain's going, yeah, yeah, yeah. But the moment I look at it and say, go on then, it goes, yeah, I don't want to. It's like the small child. I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry. There's your dinner, I don't want to eat that. It's almost like my brain's trying to tell me to bugger off. I know I've got eye strain at the moment, which probably doesn't help. I know that because when I shut my eyes, I can feel my eyes rocking back side to side. And that's a sign of me having eye strain. But the thing is I want to do this. I want to get to the end. I want to see the finished product. I want to sew some squares together and make and see how it's going to look and have a much better representation of the future to come. I want to make one in one piece. I want to make some more bookmarks. I want to try some more things with, not necessarily with Flanders, because that's just far too many bobbins for the sheer shit of it all. But, you know, I want to make more things. I want to try more things. I want to do more shapes. But the moment I say go on then, my brain's just like, nah. And I struggle to defeat that. And I almost have to ride it out. The problem is what I don't want to do is not stream. Because if I don't stream for like a week, I'll probably never do it again. And I don't want to do that. I really do want to finish it. I want to see it through. And I'm excited to see what it looks like. Sort of. Because I know I'm not going to look at it. I know. You know. But at the same time, I do want to do it. I want to see it. I want to do more things. I want to try more and more stuff. But I don't know. I think there have been a reasonable number of... So, for example, to give you an idea, there was a meeting I missed this morning. I didn't say sorry. No one seems to have noticed I wasn't there. That's okay. I think he cancelled it in the end, but I'm not entirely sure because it still popped up asking me to go. But I've got meetings about going to meetings. I had a one-to-one with my new boss, and I wasn't quite sure how that was going to go down after last week. we had a meeting with the HR woman this week because, well, boss forgot to come, and that was really quite fruitful, and I was really positive in that, and we were all, and I think it's had really good outcomes. I don't think we'll ever be told that we got good outcomes out of that meeting, but I'm pretty confident we did from some things that co-worker has said to me that came up in his one-to-ones, because of course I told him exactly what I discovered in my one-to-ones, so he could continue. So with all that in mind, there is a bit of me that's going, my job's looking promising right now. It really is. But there's also a big pile of doubt and uncertainty. So if it goes well, the job's really on the up. If the doubts turn into client changes his mind, they don't really need me. And I'm redundant. And that would be complicated. My own boss actually was really surprised after hearing just a tiny bit of life before that I'm still there. And it's kind of like, it's a mile down the road. They pay me money. The job itself is not the problem. It's usually, occasionally, the people within it. And, it means that I do struggle with that. And, the mention of the person who drove me nuts there really doesn't help. He doesn't know who that is, and I haven't told him, and we don't work with that person anymore. But the previous boss we had, so not the one who 2P'd us, the one before that, he was good friends with the person who drove me nuts. To the point, he got him back in his team and had him in the office when I was in the office. And me and co-worker, I obviously had a problem with this particular person because he drove me insanely nuts. My co-worker has a problem with somebody else that used to be a contractor who, frankly, never seems to achieve anything, so we're not quite sure why they ever came back either. But it meant it drove them up the wall, and they had a serious problem. And to be fair, when I found out why, I totally agree with them wanting to splatter said person around the universe. They would have deserved it. But it means that, you've got people who, because they've been there a long time, there are histories like that. There are people who have done things and said things that were completely unnecessary. And, on some of the things that this guy had done, my new manager was appalled, and I went, yeah, but no one did anything about it. Even though they knew he did it, still let him. And, then it's you against the world. And eventually I broke because I could not take on the entirety of the company. I could only hold up my end of the world, and I couldn't bring myself to do it anymore. And he could see why. And he really could. So I think to a large extent, my new boss now understands me a bit better, which is a good thing. I think he understands the company that he now works for, that we know far more about them than obviously the... Hey, Tench, I'm just deciding whether I give up now or whether I keep going, because my heart's really not in it today. I'm suffering a bit of the can't be asked factor. I am depressed, but then I've been depressed for a couple of weeks, so that's not really a new thing. But there are levels, and, I know I did a short stream yesterday because I was violently hungry. But to be honest, I wasn't really in the mood yesterday either, but I was determined to try. And just as I've done today, I've been determined to try. But I'm kind of poking at it. It's a bit like the kid pushing their food around the plate. To be fair, winter does that, I think. And while I don't truly believe in the seasonal adjustment disorder, I do believe that winter, it is far harder to find joy in winter than it is in summer. On a summer's day, when the sky is blue, the birds are chirping gently, the flowers are in the garden and you can smell them, and you can go and sit in the sun and feel the warm and hear hear nature doing its thing around you. Probably a shitload of cars drowning it out, but potentially listen to a bunch of birdies tweeting in the bush, whatever. and you've got, you get up in the sunshine, you go to bed, and it's still light enough that you can walk around without, face planting into the wall. It is much easier to find joy than in winter when there's sideways rain, it's pitch black. It's coming up to 4 o'clock here, the light is starting to fade, right? And if you have a day, if you have a 9 to 5 job, by 5 o'clock it's dark. Well, so you go to work in the dark, you come home in the dark. It's generally at this time of year perpetually raining, or thinking about raining, or hailing, or sleeting, or generally just being foul out there in a sideways wind kind of direction, right? So it's much harder to find joy when you can't step outside without getting a face full of crappy weather, when you've got to spend half an hour scraping your car off every morning, when everything is shut down and there are no pretty plants to look at. It's just, the whole garden's trying to shrivel up and die, right? It's turning into a swamp because the grass is not, the water's high, the grass is not holding it together, and the dogs bring in half the garden. It is so much harder to find joy in winter and early spring. And I think that's not an adjustment disorder. That's normal. It's a bit like, I explained to someone that you should feel depressed after you lose a pet or a loved one. And they kind of went, I don't understand. I said, you've lost a big part of your life. A huge part of your life which you loved and adored has gone. That is, you grieve, it is a tragedy. It should make you feel crap because a crap thing has happened. And grieving is normal. And whether you lose a job and so it's not entirely grief, but it's still a loss, right? If crap things happen to you, feeling crap is not really depression. It's the natural reaction to the world around you. Depression is when you are abnormally out of whack compared to the world around you. Now, that does not mean that the world did not trigger it. That does not mean that you are wrong to be depressed. It just means that perhaps you took this one a bit harder than maybe other people would. And I do that. I know I do. And, I know that I suffer from it in a work environment. And because I was explaining to my manager, because I do sidetracks, as you well know. And I explained about how I have a problem when people say to you, you didn't try. I'm sorry, are you in my head? How do you know exactly how much I tried? What if I was up all night, blood, sweat and tears for this thing, and you just think I didn't try? Because the answer to that is fuck you. It truly is, right? If you're in the good mind, fuck you. If you're not in a good mind, it's now, I'll delete myself. And yet it's caused by the same comment, with the same meaning, in the same tone. And it is frustrating when you've tried really hard, someone says to you that, it wasn't enough, and you feel like you gave everything you had. Now, maybe you were fruitless, maybe your efforts were in all the wrong places. If you tried building the foundations of your house with a teaspoon, you could have tried real hard, but you wouldn't have got very far. It's not that you didn't try, and people need to recognise that effort was put in, even if they don't see the effort that was put in. The fact that something has appeared and the person who was doing it may not have been best suited for that thing, you need to understand that they put in effort to try and make that what you wanted. Now, for some people, if you think of the talented artists who, basically hover a pen over a piece of paper and out comes something that's photographic quality, they're bastards, and no, that's arguably not trying for them. But at the same time, they still put the effort in to do it. Now, did they have to put hard effort in? Maybe not. But they still bothered, which is far more than anyone else did. So, back off him, give him a bit of credit. And I think he understands. I got the impression that he does relate to that. Lots of people don't, but I think he does relate to that. And so, because I've got a new manager and I don't know him very well, I've got concerns as to how well I will get on with him, or how well certain, if he's ever going to tell me off, how well that will go, or if he's going to give me praise, how well will that go, because praise makes me creepy. But it is that kind of problem, right? Is that I'm currently in a really new environment, and autistic people don't do well in change. Well, yes and no. Good points, bad points, always the way. 99% of the time, I didn't really have a manager. I mean, he was my manager, but he was basically absent. So I got to run my job, I got to make my decisions, I got to live with my decisions, I got to live with the crap if I made the wrong decisions, and I got to sit there feeling a bit smug if I made the right decisions. So from that point of view, I kind of liked my manager because he was not on my shoulder every 3 seconds going, who have you done this? Who's going to do this? Are you doing this for so-and-so? Because we've had managers that do that, and it is infuriating. The manager we had before him was much more micromanage, but he wanted it for the right reason, right? So while it kind of bugged us all that he was, involved with everything all the time and kind of micromanaging it all, we also knew that if you needed to ask him a question, he knew the answer. If you said to him, boss, who runs this application? He would know. Who's in the team? He would know. Are they planning anything? He would know. Last boss could not tell you who our clients were. Could not tell you what applications ran on our servers. Could not tell you what most of us did on a day-to-day basis. Because he wasn't involved. Now, it's not that necessarily he wasn't busy, he wasn't doing other things, but from what we were led to believe, he was purely there to be our manager, and he didn't really do that, so we all kind of were left a bit at sea. And it left a bit of a bad taste, because we'd gone from micromanage and annoyance to, hey boss, I've got a thing for you, don't care. Oh, okay. Kind of environment, and it was so polar opposite, we all felt a little bit lost, because the previous boss would tell you exactly how you wanted to do it, who you needed to speak to. He would have had like 6 meetings before he even mentioned it to you, so lots of things were already decided. All he had to do was get on with it, and there were many good points in that style of life. It works for the army all the time. So I didn't dislike my bosses. I mean, I've disliked a couple, but I didn't dislike my last bosses. Do I think both the previous bosses could have done better? Couldn't we all? Seriously, I think I could have done better for them, and I think they could have done better for me. But neither of us did. But at the end of it, I don't think that was necessarily a big problem. Because, like a lot of things, HR is not there for the employee, so no one's going to sit there and go, hey, I really think you ought to give so-and-so a promotion because, she's worked really hard this year, and no one cares. If you've worked your balls off and you've done extra hours for nothing, and, well, more for you, because no one cares. And we did a lot of work for a lot of people, and some of them were grateful, some of them weren't. But I do find myself, so I'm not unhappy in my job. My job itself, I can do my job. I can do all the things that my job needs. I didn't get any training on it, but that's not the point. But we are now being asked to document stuff that no one else has ever done. We're now being asked to do things in a way that nobody else has done. And some of it feels like a setup. Some of it feels like the things that maybe last boss was supposed to do never did. I'm not saying it's true, but there is a bit of a smell of, well, he never got round to it, so they're going to make you do it because you are now financially accountable for it. Whereas our salaries were paid anyway, whether we did this newfangled shit or not. And so if he didn't mention it, we didn't do it, it never happened. But now we're outsourced. Well, now you get to tell us what we must do. And you're telling us we now must do this. We never did it before, but that's kind of our fault now. Thanks for that. We feel so much better knowing that. So yeah, I have struggled for quite a while. I do randomly struggle on and off with things. By the way, did you know, I think this was our 106th stream. Can't believe it's 100 or over 100 already. It's quite scary. But yeah, I am contemplating making some tutorial type videos. Some short ones, because obviously all the stream ones are generally quite long and people don't tend to watch them. But making some, doing a small one demonstrating a stitch and a couple of the variants and how it makes a difference, I think is a very valid process. And there are people who've already done it, but I'm not them. And I think because if it's a stitch that I use, I think it's appropriate to do some kind of research and demonstration on it, with some bigger thread and some, to show it up, to make it show well on camera. I want to do some more Bucks Point bookmarks. I want to finish that heart coastery thing. I want to do a lot of things, but right here, right now, I do not want to do this. I want a nap. I really want a nap. That's what my brain's screaming is, I want a nap. And then if I have a nap, it'll be dinner time. So then I'll eat dinner. And then the M&M stream will start. And I'll be watching that. And if they do the raffle and I win and I get to play, well, I'll be doing that. If I don't, I'll be watching someone else feeling jealous that they're doing that. So I may come back this evening if I have a nap and I'm feeling a bit more invigorated. It is the weekend, and tomorrow I will... See, this is the problem I have with Saturdays. If I start it late, I can't upload the video without driving myself insane. But I want it to be fair for some of the American friends, so that they are not up at Sparrow's fart to watch a stream, because who is, right? But also, I don't want it to be too late for other people, so I then want to do kind of like a good time range. I'm talking, 6-7 hours, but that is a really, really long time, and I haven't generally succeeded. But it's that kind of thought process, is that there is a part of me who wants to start the stream earlier so that I can do one bit, and then if it's good later, come back to it. But I also have to face the fact that I get tired, I'm an old fart. Rory and Amy need attention occasionally and all that kind of stuff. So it doesn't help, right? Doesn't help. My brain's just said something that I don't know where the hell that came from. It seems to think that I had an email, which I haven't as far as I know, telling me that someone has kind of not opened my door, but marked the house as, I don't know, not abuse, but there's something wrong and that people need to come and check on it, and that they're coming around any minute. It's like, no, brain, that didn't happen. I do have a habit of hallucinating when I'm tired, but usually it's inanimate objects moving, mainly door frames. To be utterly blunt about it, door frames move. Now, clearly they don't move because, well, they don't. But in my head, they're moving like 6 to 8 inches, and basically it's almost like a rushing at you. And the door can be closed or open, it makes no odds. But door frames seem to move when I'm really tired, and I'm tired enough for that to be true. So I know my brain's lying to me because, well, I've got Doctor Who in my ear and you guys in my ear, and that's it. Nobody else is talking to me, so yeah, there are no voices or whatever. So it's not a thing. It is not true that that's a problem. So I do think a snooze is in order. I'm disappointed with myself though, and I will remain disappointed in myself, for it is disappointing that on an afternoon when I could have done so much with so many hours, my brain went, no, really not in the mood for that today. Try again another day. But that's exactly what I will do. I will top Hedgie up because, oops, bang the microphone there. We did make a big bald spot in Hedgie, doing the little square. So, I may be back later. As I say, if I have a nap and some food and feel going for it, I'll be back later. If I don't feel like going back for it later, I will be on tomorrow. And maybe depending on when I wake up and moods, maybe we'll do a 2-part tomorrow. So we'll do a, lunchtime, early afternoon section, and maybe a later evening section, or just the later evening section. We'll see how it all goes. Yeah, I just feel guilty for doing it, because I've got no real excuse for it other than kind of my brain's just not in the mood. So I do apologise, and I mean it sincerely. But I think if I tried to do too much more, I'd make lots of stupid mistakes, because I made a few stupid mistakes yesterday after all, and we all know how much fun those are. So a nap is definitely in order. I shall listen to Doctor Who, and fall asleep and miss it. And it's not like I don't know them off by heart, so it's fine. But I will. With any luck, I'll be back later. I'll try and have my tea early, because that's been a problem. I've been having my dinner late because I've been doing this, and I'm rather hungry and out of sync with reasonable meal times. So if I can get, if I almost order my dinner now, kind of thing, not quite, but, in an hour or something, order my dinner, because it is takeout night, have my takeout, enjoy my takeout, because I inevitably do. Maybe afterwards I'll be a little bit more jolly and a little bit more, actually I want to do some more now. I mean, chances are, if I can't get to sleep, I'll do some of my Flanders, which proves that it's not that far away, right? It's just a case of just not right now kind of thing. So I do apologise, but I appreciate that you support me, all of you, and that you are understanding of my struggle in life. But one of the things that I also hate in the world is people who choose to stream and then moan about how much hard work it is. Well, then don't do it. But of course I want to do it, but I don't want to do it. So I'm kind of caught in a bit of a whirlpool at the moment. So I shall see you, I hope, later. I sincerely hope it's later. But I do fear it is more tomorrow. But let's hope it's later, right? So I will go with later for now. And if the later's tomorrow, well, it's still technically true. Take care, and thank you all for understanding. Bye-bye.